In our Raw review today, Otis is confirmed to still be alive. The Judgment Day is imploding from within. And what is happening to the World Heavyweight Championship? Hello everyone, my name is Alfie and welcome back to another review of the thing that we all love, which is wrestling. Today's review is from last night's Raw, which, as we all saw, imploded. And it didn't implode, did it? Today's episode is from last night's Raw, which, as we all saw, had a few talking points on it, and we're going to go through them and see what we think. As always, if you do enjoy my content and you want to see more wrestling videos like this, make sure you leave a like, comment, and also subscribe to the channel. Anything you could do really helps me out, and I appreciate it a lot. So, Raw General Manager Adam Pearce kicks us off, but not long before he can actually start talking, the Vision turn up in their car, and they come down to the ring. Obviously, they want to confront what's happened on the previous week with their turn on Rollins there. But before they can start talking or say anything, Pearce cuts them off and he says, "I'm glad that you're here actually, because I want you to hear this first hand." What is happening to the World Heavyweight Championship? Well, apparently Seth Rollins has been stripped of it. They allude to the fact that he got injured in the Cody Rhodes fight, but they're also saying obviously Braun Breaker didn't help when he decimated him last week. Obviously, we need a champion on Raw, so it made sense for them to take it off Rollins there. It's a shame because maybe he could have done a lot more with his title reign. I was saying on the SmackDown review, it feels very rushed, but obviously with Seth injured, that was all they could do with it, so it will be interesting to see where they go with this. Obviously, we get a little bit more coming into the end of the show, but we'll get onto that there. We do get a fun bit here, which I quite enjoyed, which was Pearce going up to Breaker, and he had to obviously hand over the Heavyweight Championship, which he stole from Rollins. Breaker has it on like his shoulder like that, and he's proud and presented, and he does look really good with it as well. So hopefully at some point we'll get Breaker as champion. I'm sure we will, but hopefully not long to wait. But yeah, and Pearce goes, hand it over, and Breaker, being badass Steiner mad, is like, he's making Pearce beg for it. He's going, say please, say, ask me nicely, which he then does, Pearce then does, because obviously you're not gonna, mess with them. And Breaker hands it over, Pearce leaves the ring, and Heyman breaks a promo for the Vision. It does feel like a kind of regular promo, really. Not a lot is said, apart from obviously Heyman saying about Seth. Heyman actually had the master plan all along, where Breaker is the next breakout star. And you think, well, if you thought Breaker was the next breakout star, why did you spend so long dealing with the Seth stuff? Which doesn't quite make sense, but it's wrestling and we all love it. We're just going to keep going. But it does feel like something is missing there. And you can really tell, I think, with the crowd reaction and with everything that's going on, that at the moment, Breaker, Bronson are not as big a stars as Seth Rollins is. It just felt like what we've been getting on Raw every week. So that was a bit disappointing, but hopefully they can move on from that, and as we go on and as we get more to this story, they'll progress, and it will make it a lot more nicer and a lot more kind of, we want this on our screen. Next up, and of course because this is Monday Night Raw, we have a Judgment Day backstage scene. Dom comes up to them and he's going, "Guys, why are you giving me the cold shoulder? Why aren't you happy?" And as we know, it's because last week he made it so that they had to defend their tag titles against Dragon Lee and AJ Styles for this week. Here is where Roxanne goes over and comforts Dom a little bit. It doesn't feel like, I don't know, it's a weird relationship between these two, and I don't know whether they are going for she's going to replace Liv Morgan as like Dom's girlfriend, or whether it's she is like a little sister. It is what I'm getting the vibes from both of them, which I kind of hope they keep to that, because I would like them to just break off Liv and Dom from the rest of the Judgment Day. Judgment Day can still keep as a thing. It's a good tag team. It's been going on for years, and you can have, Finn Balor, JD Madonna as maybe tag team, or even have Finn Balor as now the new head of it, and you've got JD Madonna and someone else coming into the Judgment Day. The main thing is that I hope they bring away Liv and Dom from it and just let Dom embrace his Eddie Guerrero kind of vibes. So next up we have AJ Styles and Dragon Lee versus the Judgment Day. As I said, this is for the tag team titles. I did have a interesting fact that I heard, I think it was Joe Tessitore say, which was this was their second defense in 107 days of holding the tag titles, which is just absolutely crazy. And they kept going on about it during the match like it was a good thing. Like, you care so little about your tag team division on Raw that you've had 2 championship matches in 107 days, which is what, like, just under 4 months. It just seems like a lot of the titles that are in WWE are being held by people who just don't want to defend it. So it gets a bit tiring when it's again and again and again and again. But anyway, going into this match, I thought it was a fantastic match. Obviously, you've got 4 great wrestlers. JD Madonna is unsung hero of WWE at the moment. He is just amazing at what he does, and I really, really hope they give him a kind of push. Again, Lee as well, he looked like a great star. Really kind of, I think the crowd was starting to get behind him, which was something that was really, really great to see. Get to the finish of the match, and there's this spot where there's just multiple near falls between all of them. There's a bit right as it ends where Balor's trying to put AJ into the Styles Clash. Can't quite hook it. You can see that AJ Styles kind of flagging his arms about. Bit of kerfuffle there. Then AJ gets into the Styles Clash, puts him down 1, 2, 3, and we've now got AJ Styles and Dragon Lee as our tag team championships. Great tag team champions, I should say. Great kind of match, but what is the point and where is it going to go other than dissension in the Judgment Day, which again, is it going to lead to a breakup? We get a backstage segment with the Usos. They're both not feeling very Usy at the moment, I would imagine. Jay comes in and he apologises to Jimmy about his behaviour last week. Obviously, he's been kind of getting told by Roman, you've got to be in it for yourself, you've got to do that and you're going to be able to rise to the top. And Jimmy wants him to be like more of a brother and more nice, I guess. So there has been that kind of tension there, which is, you know, again, great. But Jay apologises, Jimmy's like it's fine, and they're both going to be in the Battle Royale later, which at this point as well, they show us a picture of everyone who's in the Royale. But if you look at everyone who's in it, it's just a list of people who aren't very over. Basically, you've got people like Otis, Tozawa. And if you weren't enjoying the Judgment Day on Monday Night Raw, then I have got bad news for you, because next is Dominic Mysterio versus Rusev for the IC title. There's a bit right at the start, which I was a bit annoyed by, and I don't know if you guys are annoyed by this as well, but Dom came out first when he's the champion, which is my biggest pet peeve in wrestling. I always think champion should come out second, but they did it so Dom could attack Rusev before the match, which I understand. You've got to make sure, you know, he's getting in his cheating and things like that, which is great, but, you know, it's just a little pet peeve of mine. Then we get to the finish, and Dominic has had enough of Rusev. He comes out, grabs his titles, goes to walk away through the bell, the timekeepers bit, I should say, and Penta's standing there in the way. Penta's like, no, you're not getting out of here. Rusev then pushes Dom into Penta, which creates a bit of kerfuffle. Dom's grabs the little hammer, tries to do the same thing that he did to Penta last week, but Rusev grabs him from the 619, takes out the hammer, which it was a great spot as well, takes out the hammer from his boot, and just shows the ref and goes, look at what he was trying to do. Ref takes it away, and Dom just hits him right where it hurts. He goes down into another 619. 619, Dom retains. I like this. I like what's happening with Dom at the moment. Again, as I said, he is that Eddie Guerrero character, which is really great to kind of see. And each week you're wondering how he's going to win his matches. I believe this will probably lead to a triple threat. Again, you can't really cheat in a triple threat because there's no disqualification, but maybe there'll be some more shenanigans, which will be fantastic to see. So from one IC champion to the other, we have Becky Lynch versus Maxine Dupree for the women's IC title. Again, this was set up last week when Maxine Dupree won by countout. Just to reiterate my point as well from earlier, this is the 7th title defence for Becky Lynch in 134 days, so just over 4 months. She's had 7. These are 5 more than what the Judgment Day have had. But again, great match between the two. Maxine's getting better every single week. We have a lovely little bit of acting between Jessica Carr and Becky Lynch. Obviously, from what happened last week, she's not particularly happy with the referee. I was hoping for a bit more of that, as I'll come to at the end, but really, really good. Maxine, as I said, is getting a lot better. It feels a bit awkward sometimes where she does moves, but she's got the athleticism to kind of sell it a lot more. Finish, I hate it. I always hate it. If it's a DQ finish, it's a bit naff. I understand why they did it. It does mean, obviously, Maxine gets another win over Becky Lynch, which is obviously good. But yeah, so she grabs the title and just whacks Maxine in the face. Jessica Carr is just like, well, that's disqualification. But maybe it ruins it. I don't know what you guys think. But if Jessica Carr did like a fast count for Maxine to win the title, or if she saw the belt go into, I suppose it would ruin kind of a lot of things. It wouldn't make sense maybe, but if she saw the belt hit Maxine and just didn't disqualify Becky, but it might not work, but just a little bit more of the referee I think would be really great. Next up is Kabuki Warriors promo. Again, very good. They're probably one of the best things on Raw at the moment. They're just basically saying that we're done with Rhea, beat her up. They did show just before this that Rhea's got a broken nose, so they're really kind of pounding that they beat her up, even though they lost the match, right, at Crown Jewel. Wins and losses don't matter, I guess, but they kind of beat her up on Raw, so they win. Now they're going to be chasing the tag title, so that'll be a nice match at some point with Bliss Charlotte. Kabuki Warriors, I would imagine Kabuki Warriors are going to win it. Again, they're not doing a lot with Flair and Bliss story-wise, other than the matches and them being best friends but not best friends kind of thing. So we'll see how that goes, but I am excited for a potential match between them anyway. This rolls into us seeing Stephanie getting ready for a match. She's coming out, but just before that, you've got Adam Pearce and Paul Heyman begging Adam to put the bronze back into the Battle Royal. Again, I didn't realise they were in the Battle Royal in the first place, which I don't think they was. Pearce says no, and then he sees Becky, and this is the best bit of it. Heyman says to Becky about Rollins and apologises for what he did. He says, you know, as they both know, it's kind of like a dog-eat-dog world. Got to be on top to progress, so he had to do what he had to do. Seth Rollins didn't progress in that week. Becky comes back to him and is just like, you suck. And like, Seth never cared about you. He knew you were going to turn on him. He's going to ruin everything that you're trying to create here when he comes back, which is, you know, it's great. And it obviously sets up the Seth Breaker feud at some point that we'll see. So again, they're doing the best that they can do with what they've got, but it was not half bad. So we've got Stephanie Vaquer versus Roxanne Perez, and there's not a lot to say about this match, to be honest. It's just your typical face versus heel, face versus Judgment Day heel. There's a little bit of interference from Roxanne, then there's a beatdown after it. But I want to talk a little bit about what's happened after the match. Obviously, Stephanie wins. I mean, why wouldn't she? But Nikki comes out to defend her, Nikki Bella, and it is just pandemonium. It feels like, I don't know if it was meant to look like that. I think Nikki actually didn't look half bad. I think it's just her image of her not being a very good wrestler last time we saw her. But she comes down and she does quite well. She obviously beats up Roxanne, beats up Raquel. And then Roxanne, I think Raquel's going to try and hit her or something like that, turns around into Stephanie Vaquer, trying to jump onto the rope, but she slips as she jumps onto the rope, face plants onto the ring mat, and I think hurts herself. And it really, really does not look good. I think at this time as well, the feed cut out a little bit, so you just see the Judgment Day leaving the ring. Stephanie and Nikki standing tall, hugging each other, all that stuff. So we've got a few promos just before the main event battle royale. First one is Bayley and Lyra. So Lyra's backstage talking to someone, I think Kathy Kelly. Bayley comes up and says, I've got a surprise for you next week. So I guess we'll find out what that is. Imagine them talk about working together and things like that. So maybe a tag team championship match or something like that. I don't know. Could be. After that, we've got the Vision promo. So it's the two Brons just talking to each other. Heyman comes in. And he's just trying to sell himself to Bron and Bron. Just saying, obviously, about in 2002, there was an up-and-comer UFC star. Obviously, talking about Brock Lesnar. Then it was about CM Punk. No one liked him backstage. And then Heyman helped him. And suddenly he was champion for 434 days instead of 100 and being forced out of the company. And then lastly, he talks about Roman Reigns. No one cares about the big dog, but they cared about the Tribal Chief's title reign, and that was down to him. So basically a whole lot of trust the process, which is fair enough, and it fits his character quite a bit. Lastly, we have a Steph and Nikki promo. I don't understand why we're putting these together, but I'm going to guess it's to set up a match against Judgment Day at some point, maybe at Saturday's night main event. We haven't really got any matches on the card, except for obviously what we're going to come up to for the main event, but yeah, it's fine. Okay, main event time. So we've got the number one contenders battle royal. We've got firstly Jay and Jimmy coming out in these Yeet entrance style. You've got Sheamus coming out next, and then it cuts and you've got everyone standing in the ring apart from a few people. It really kind of shows who they care about, but as I alluded to before, not a lot of these guys are stars. For me, it felt like Jay was the only star out of the bunch. Even LA Knight coming out, I know his yeah is over, yeah, of course it is, but just doesn't feel as big as like a Jay or a Roman or a Punk or a Cena. And this is exactly what you see when Punk comes out and goes on commentary, is everyone lights up, just has the stature of I am a star, you know, and that's something that we don't see in the battle royal really. But yeah, fun match. You start with Otis and Ivar in the middle of the ring. They're kind of having the big beefy boy face off, which is great. I think Otis then is the first to get eliminated though. You've got some fun stuff between the Judgment Day, AJ Styles, Dragon Lee, all that kind of stuff. Rusev, obviously with Sheamus, Penta, Dom Mysterio. Dom for me was the real highlight of the match. He had some fun bits. There was obviously the Judgment Day getting eliminated. You can see in the background that he's just watching this all happen. He's letting it happen. He's not really caring about them or whatever. He just wants to win. Perfectly fits his character. As he's watching that though, AJ Styles comes up behind him and just chucks him out of the ring on the other side. Fortunately for him is that the referees are all dealing with the Judgment Day on the other side. I think they're trying to beat up people. I can't remember exactly who. But Dom looks around, sees that none of the refs have seen him, and just jumps back into the ring. Next, I'll obviously talk about Jey Uso almost getting eliminated by AJ Styles again. Jay's kind of just balancing on a ring apron, really, really groggy. AJ just keeps punching him, trying to get him to jump off or you know, fall off or whatever, and Jimmy from nowhere just comes and beats up AJ Styles, helps his brother get back into the ring, and saves him. And that is when the reverse happens. Jimmy and AJ Styles are fighting on the ring apron or near the ring, kind of toppling over, and Jay looks over, and it's brilliant. Jay looks over and, well, he kind of messes it up, but he puts them both out of the match. For me, it wasn't, you know, a heel turn per se, but that was a really defining moment for the relationship between Jimmy and Jay, and how much Jay is relying on that advice from Roman, and how much he's willing to sacrifice to get to the top again. You know, he's tasted the top, tasted good for him, and he wants it again. Leaves Dom and Jay in the ring. Dom tries to come up behind Jay. It's not able to do it, but gets him into the 619 position. About to go for 619. He comes in. Jay just tosses him over the top rope, and Jay is your number 1 contender, or second number 1 contender for the World Heavyweight Championship. So it is going to be Jay versus Punk for the title at Saturday night's main event. Again, as I alluded to, probably the best choice for superstar worthy anyway. I do think Punk's going to win it. I'll do my predictions closer to the time. But overall, for that episode of Raw, it had some highlights. The Battle Royale was really good. The opening segment was really good. And it definitely had some lowlights as well, I'd say. Stephanie and Nikki was kind of a lowlight for me. The finish to the Maxine Dupree and Becky Lynch wasn't great, but yeah, a solid episode of Raw just to carry the story along. So what did you think about this episode of Raw? Please leave all your thoughts and feelings into the comments below. Again, remember to like and subscribe if you do enjoy my content and you want to see a little bit more. Anything you could do really helps, so thank you so much. And I'll see you in the next one. Thank you.